Hey everybody, we're back here at Red Rocks Racing Sportsbook for the Sports Betting Podcast Bookends, powered by STN Sports. As usual, Jason, I'm Chucky. We're here to break down all the football action and everything going on in the world of sports as we cover one side of the bookcase to the other with bookends. So we're going to start a little college football, Jay. I think going back to last week, there were some big games. The one that really kind of stands out for me, though, is that Penn State-UCLA game. I mean, you talk about Penn State, who preseason, Penn State and Texas, 1 and 2, both have dropped out of the top 25 right now with losses, but Penn State found a way as a 25-point favorite to lose outright to UCLA. Really good game for our side of the counter.
Yeah, you talk about those games that are good for us, and again, I think we've gone now 3 and 4 weeks in a row talking about home dogs in college football and looking to back these home dogs. Not that I would have been encouraging you to back UCLA on the money line at all last week, but again, they found a way. They're a home dog to look at, and you brought up Texas, another team that stumbled on the road as a favorite, as a 7-point favorite. Florida, as that home dog, cashes the ticket for you again. A couple home dogs that didn't get there. Florida State gets beat up by Miami. This Miami team starting to look like the real deal, potential to run through the ACC, put themselves in a really good seed situation. The other games that impressed me, you talk about bad beats. The Vandy-Alabama game was a great game. Vandy really hung around in that game, tied 14-14 at the half.
But it looked like that Bama was just trying to run out the clock.
Yeah, kid runs for a 20-yard touchdown with 17 seconds left.
Right.
Alabama ends up winning by 16 and covering the spread when Vandy really looked like they were in the game the whole day. And then one of the worst games, one of the best games for the players, one of the worst games for the book, and we continue to stay this week after week after week. But the UNLV Rebels go on the road to
in
Wyoming.
The snow in Laramie.
Not expected to see the snow on the ground in the first week of October, but the Rebels fought through it and beat up on the Cowboys. Again, a big win for the Rebels, and they'll come home this week against Air Force. But again, lots of winning tickets continue to get cashed on the UNLV Rebels.
Yeah, those are some of the bigger games that I had written down too, and I think you touched on all of them. Real quick too, last man standing with all these upsets and all the parity that we've seen so far in college football. Last man standing, only 82 contestants left as we head into week 6. So congratulations if you're one of the 82. And again, we've touched on it, just the kind of parity, the uncertainty. Week to week, Texas and Penn State, the preseason AP, number 1 and number 2 teams in the country, both out of the top 25 right now.
It's fathoming to think that those two teams have fallen down by the wayside. They're going to both battle back. They're going to both get some big wins.
With the format, they still can get into the playoffs, but it is a long shot now.
That SEC is such a juggernaut that we're going to see some of these teams have 1 and 2 losses. So they both still have a way to find the playoff. But Penn State, that's a devastating loss to a UCLA team that really hadn't put up a fight against anybody all year long. So to go on the road, lose to UCLA is going to be tough to bounce back from. But again, Penn State does have the team to do it. I don't know if they have the coach to do it, but the team should be there, and we'll see if they can battle themselves back.
You think about it, they come off that loss the week before at home in Happy Valley, complete whiteout against Oregon, where they were the favorite in that game. You guys were all over Oregon on that side. We were huge Penn State fans. They didn't get it done. You came back and backed Penn State in this game. They didn't get it done against UCLA either.
Yeah, and you bring up the fact that, the Pac-12 and the Big Ten merged, and you've got this incredible travel schedule that you have to put in your schedule. And we talk about the same thing in the ACC, those Pac-12 teams that are now in the ACC and have to go play, coast-to-coast football games. And as the schedule goes on, as these weeks go on, that travel takes its toll, and these crazy travels that college students have to make, maybe it takes its toll, and you need to look and start handicapping.
We touched on it for 2 straight weeks. I know one of the games that really stood out was Boston College having to travel to play at Stanford. It was a 7:30 p.m. start time. So for those kids, it was a 10:30 p.m. start time. And although they got to the early lead, they got beat in the second half of the game. So we've looked at a few games over the course of this season so far where that travel really has played a big part of what those teams did. We're going to jump in this week and look at some of the better games on this week's schedule. Think about it. Number 1, Ohio State. At number 17, Illinois. Ohio State opened up a 15-point favorite in this game. It's been as high as 16. It currently sits at 14.5. You look at Ohio State, 8-0-1 their last 9 games against the number. They're 9-0 straight up against Illinois their last 9 games. Just 6-3 against the number their last 9 games against Illinois. But you look at this game in history, big rivalry. Ohio State, number 1 in the country, but we've seen the number start to come down just a bit.
Well, first on the Illinois side, I was impressed last week. I thought it was a bad spot for them to have to travel to Purdue. They went to Purdue, got it done. This week, Ohio State, now all the things that we could talk about with Ohio State and Ryan Day and the quarterback and Jeremiah Smith, but one name for me at Ohio State, and it's not a player, but Ben Patricia, and the job that he has done now as the new defensive coordinator. We know what he did with the Patriots. We know Matt Patricia. With what he did with the Lions, can't believe it. One name and I blow it. But Matt Patricia, and the 5 games that Ohio State's played this year, they allowed 7 points to Texas, 0 to Grambling, 9 to Ohio, 6 to Washington, and 3 to Minnesota. So that defense is absolutely flying around the football.
Not some of your
top
tier teams.
The Washington offense
is
it was a good offense.
Game,
but
right.
I mean, they haven't allowed a team to score double digits against them through 5 games. I mean, even in garbage time, you'd expect to give something up. So Matt Patricia has done an exceptional job, and I think that, again, the change of what he brings to championship football to him as we go through this season and we see this defensive development, there's no slump in a defense. And we'll see if that leads them to kind of more national championship possibilities as they run through that playoff schedule.
And again, although this number has come down a little bit, my guess is it'll start to kick back up by Saturday, and we're going to be Illini fans when this game kicks on Saturday. Another big game, number 8 Bama at Missouri. Bama opened up 4. They currently sit at 3 right now. Excuse me. Bama just 4-1 against the number their last 5 games. They've gone under 8 of their last 12 games. They're 4-1 against the number in their last 5 games against Missouri as well. Yet we've seen this number come down just a bit. Missouri, on the flip side, 8-2 against the number their last 10 games. They're 8-0 straight up in their last 8 games, and they're 15-0 straight up in their last 15 games at home to playing a very good Bama team, catching points here at home.
Yeah, you look at that home dog status and say, oh man, this is another home dog I can take. But I'm a little cautioned here in the fact that Missouri really hasn't played anybody. We've seen Alabama's schedule of Florida State, Wisconsin, Georgia, Vanderbilt, that SEC juggernaut. Missouri, 3 of their games, they beat UMass, Louisiana, and Central Arkansas. And then they had wins over South Carolina and Kansas, albeit 29-20 and 42-31. So South Carolina, Kansas, quality wins, but the other 3 games, not so much.
With that said, though, kind of surprised the number has come down and is just hovering around that 3. You have to think it's going to tick up at some point.
Well, again, Missouri's done. All you can do is beat the teams that are in front of you. They've looked good.
Yep.
Bo Probilia has looked fantastic. The running back Hardy, I think he's got 730 yards, 9 touchdowns. So they have that offensive prowess that you think they're going to be able to compete with Alabama on that side of the football. It's really going to see what this defense can do. And they did allow South Carolina 20 points, and they allowed Kansas 31 points. And I would say that Alabama has a better offense than either of those 2 schools.
Yeah, I would totally agree with you. Another game we're going to look at now, number 7 Indiana at number 3 Oregon. Oregon opened up a 9-point favorite. The game has come down a little bit to 7.5. Totals 55. This is one of those travel games too where Indiana will be traveling out west to play the Oregon Ducks. A couple of stats here. Indiana 12-5 their last 17 games against the number. Oregon 4-1 against the number their last 5 games. Oregon 5-0 straight up their last 5 games, and they are 18-0 straight up their last 18 games on the road or at home. And the total has gone over in 11 of Indiana's last 13 games on the road. So you might see some scoring in this one, but I think it's a big test for Indiana to see just how good they are.
Yeah, and I think that you talk about scoring, and I think we've got 2 guys that are right there in the Heisman Trophy conversation. Fernando Mendoza's got 16 touchdowns with only 1 interception. Dante Moore, the quarterback for Oregon, 14 touchdowns with only 1 interception. So these guys have been really, really good. I can see a lot of points being scored here, but this is one of those spots where Indiana can go shock the world.
They're going to need to shock the world.
Nobody's expecting them to go up
to
Eugene and win this game. And again, tough place to travel. But Indiana, again, they play with this chip on their shoulder, disrespect the Hoosiers. And was the Oregon win at Penn State as good as we all thought it was, with the fact that Penn State just got beat up by a bad UCLA team? So maybe that Oregon team isn't the juggernaut that we think they are. I don't know. I just caution, maybe Penn State wasn't as big a win as you think it was.
Well, we'll see what happens. Very tough spot. They're 7.5-point underdogs right now. I think that number may go up by kickoff. Air Force at UNLV, as Jay mentioned earlier, UNLV continues to be really good for our guests. You guys have done really good with UNLV. They opened up a 6-point favorite. They sit at 6.5 right now. We know they're really good offensively. They do give up some points defensively. Total is 65.5 in this game. Some betting trends here too. Air Force 7-3 against the number their last 10 games. Air Force has gone over 6 straight games. Air Force just is 5-1 straight up in their last 6 games against UNLV. Vegas, however, is 7-1 against the number their last 8 games. They've also gone over 11 of their last 14 times against Air Force. So looking at these trends, you have to think there's going to be a lot of scoring in this game.
Well, I said, we continue to watch UNLV flood everybody's pockets with cash. So if you can, love to see some Air Force backing here and some support for the Air Force Falcons coming in. As you know, Station Casinos sits all around the valley, kind of surrounding the UNLV campus. So we're flooded with Rebel graduates. We're flooded with Rebel fans. So if we could get some Air Force Falcon money, it'd be greatly appreciated. But again, we're always kind of cheering for the
Maybe
Rebels.
a flyover before the game starts, would help a little bit, but yeah, it's Rebels have been really good over the last 3 years. Even with the coaching change, Mullen has come up and done a really, really good job. A few other games just to touch on that I had too is Michigan at USC. Both teams come in 4-1. USC a 2.5-point favorite. Michigan 6-3 against the number of their last 9 games. 7-1 straight up their last 8 games. Total has gone over 7 of the last 8 times Southern Cal has played at home. So just some betting trends to look at there as well.
Yeah, and USC Michigan, that'll be our match of the day on Saturday. So take advantage of that 10% bonus that you can get. Again, if you're betting $150 on the money line, that'll come down to $140. It'll get you a 10-cent cheaper to win $100 on that match of the day 10% bonus.
Also, Southern Cal 4-1 straight up in their last 5 games against an opponent from the Big Ten Conference. 2 more games I want to touch on, Jay, if you want to add any. Georgia at Auburn. We talked about it a little bit off air. Bulldogs are 4-1 and committed this game as a 3.5-point favorite. Georgia, however, is just 1-5 against the number their last 6 games. Auburn just 2-4 against the number of their last 6 games. So something will have to give there. However, Georgia 9-3 against the number their last 12 games against Auburn.
Yeah, and the schedule makers haven't done Auburn any favors, having to travel to Oklahoma, having to go to A&M, and now host Georgia. So they've, we talk about having to play in that SEC, and this is just one of those really, really tough stretches for Auburn. We'll see if Jackson Arnold and the offense can get something going. They've really struggled offensively the last couple of weeks, and it's not going to get an easier challenge in this Bulldog team, who seems to be getting better and better on offense. Gunnar Stockton seems to be finding the offense. Zachariah Branch, the young man who played his high school ball here at Bishop Gorman, went to USC, now transferred to Georgia, has become the star of that Georgia wide receiver room. And so Georgia's got a lot of good things going. And again, they've got to continue to try and win games to keep themselves in that playoff conversation after the loss to Alabama.
And you see this week, though, both Bama and Georgia very small favorites against the number. So we'll see that. Last game I want to hit on, it's the Red River rivalry between Oklahoma and Texas. Look at this game. Texas opened up a 3-point favorite. The game's down to 1. So you've seen some money come in against Oklahoma. Total's gone under in 6 straight Oklahoma games. Oklahoma's 4-9 against the number. Their last 13 games against Texas. Texas 15-5 straight up in their last 20 games. But they've gone under 8 of their last 10 games against an SEC opponent. Just should be a really, really good game.
Yeah, and the reason for the downward trend on the point spread is the question mark of John Mateer, the quarterback for Oklahoma. He's pushing to play in this game. He was the Heisman Trophy favorite for a period of 2 games before he had to have the hand surgery. He may be back. If he's back for sure, most likely Arizona or Oklahoma goes to the favorite in this game. And obviously the Longhorn backers and the Longhorn fans, they've just had a depressing season so far with the loss to Ohio State, and then to lose as a favorite at Florida in the Swamp, a game that we were saying this is a dangerous game, not only going on the road to play Florida, but having to go on the road to play Florida.
They never really were in that game
before the Red River rivalry. Right. Yeah, I mean, Arch Manning, who we preseason was the Heisman Trophy favorite, a prohibitive Heisman Trophy favorite, hasn't been that good. They haven't been able to get the passing game going. He's done a little bit with his legs, but again, very disappointing season so far for Texas. And this would be another this could be a playoff breaker. Loss here, and essentially Texas
is
would
done.
be
With
eliminated
3 losses,
from
they'd be done.
playoff contention.
Yeah, I think you look at this week's college slate too, and I know we've talked about it. There was a couple of weeks there wasn't a marquee schedule of games. This week's the exact opposite. I think there's 6 or 8 really good games. So get here early, have some fun. We got the drink specials going on, $3 shots, $3 beers, $1.99 margaritas. It's going to be a fun atmosphere with all these big games on Saturday.
Even Friday, strangely enough, a kind of a sleeper of a game on Friday. South Florida versus North Texas. You talk about those teams that are always on the cusp of being in the top 25. Can one of those mid-majors find a way to make their way into the playoff? Both of those teams playing fantastic. South Florida is 4-1, North Texas 5-0. Game's basically a pick'em game, but should be a good one on Friday night.
We got Thursday, and Friday college football.
Match of the day there as well on Friday, North Texas, South Florida.
So come on in and check out all the college football action. We're going to be right back and break down the uncertainty of the craziness that went on in pro football this past weekend. Hey everybody, we're back here at Red Rocks Racing Sportsbook for the Sports Betting Podcast bookends for our pro football segment. And Jay, we hadn't seen this happen in a long time. It was the chaos, the comeback of Sunday, but it really started on Thursday night, where you had a big dog in the 49ers. Purdy was hurt, and Kittle was hurt, and Ricky Pearsall was hurt, and Jennings was hurt, and Bosa was hurt. Yet they went into LA, and what did they do? They beat the Rams. They played really well. A couple of late fumbles by the Rams helped, but they won, and that started the weekend off. And then you had all these teams that were down double digits that won on Sunday, which we just haven't seen dogs like this. Wait, what's that noise? Oh, that's the dogs barking. They were barking big time on Sunday. You had the Panthers who came back from a double-digit deficit. You had the Broncos that came back from a big deficit. You had the Titans that came back from a big deficit. It just seemed like wherever you looked at a game, a dog was coming back and winning that game. It was one of the craziest Sundays I can remember in a long time. And you had a running back drop the ball on the 1-yard line, which is now back-to-back weeks that someone has done this, that really flipped the script in that game as well.
Yeah, and I think the week for us, sealed up with the Jaguars at home knocking off the Chiefs, but the Titans, kind of the story of the weekend, the fact that, again, they had a horrible against the spread record. I want to say they were like 2-15 last year against the spread, and they've just been the dandy of the betting public to bet against the Titans, and they looked like they were about to go down 28-6.
Well, it was 21-6. Yeah, you're right. It was going to go 28-6.
Team Mercado fumbles the ball at the goal line. They go down and score. They then throw an interception that the defender fumbles the ball, goes into the end zone. They're able to score there. Just absolute craziness. A script you couldn't have written for the Titans and how the Titans were going to come back and win that game. Of course, that was great for our side of the counter. And then the Sunday night football game, the Patriots going and knocking off the Bills as an over a touchdown dog. So we were complaining for so many weeks in a row that the underdogs are not coming in, and it's the pro football is nothing but favorites. And then the last 3 weeks, it's just been that steamroll of the underdogs. So looking to this week, who's one of the underdogs we can catch? Because again, looking at the schedule, it's tough to see that underdog that's going to be able to win a game. And you talk about the craziness in the NFL. Which one can we get?
I mean, last week too was the Commanders that were trailing double digits to the Chargers, who came back. The Saints were trailing by double digits, and they came back. It wasn't just the fact that you had dogs that won. They were just down by so much, yet they're able to find a way to come back.
Again, Monday night, Jaguars were down 14-0 to the Chiefs and found their way back.
Yep. So we're going to dive into a couple of questions you guys have before we kind of break down the games and get into the games a little bit. So first question is, which team is in more danger, do we think, of missing the playoffs this year, the Chiefs or the Ravens? For me, it's the Ravens now. Ravens are 1-4. They just look like something's wrong. I know they have the injuries, but San Francisco had a bunch of injuries as well. They circled the wagons. They went into LA, and they won that game. The Ravens got just shelled by the Texans, 44-10 at home. They just don't look like the same team. I know they only have to beat the Steelers. Steelers play the Browns this week. The Ravens are a big dog this week to the Rams. They could be 1-5. I think it's an uphill battle right now for a Raven team that a lot of us felt may have been the AFC favorite to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree. I think that the question was posed to the Chiefs. Is the Chiefs make the playoffs or the Ravens make the playoffs?
I think it's the Chiefs.
Yeah, and the Ravens, because the Ravens can only get in the playoffs most likely by winning the division. And that would be having to leapfrog the Steelers. Again, they do have to play them twice. They have to play every one of the teams in their division twice. The Browns aren't really threatening anybody. The Bengals obviously maybe get something with the quarterback change there, but again, they don't look very good. So it's a race between the Steelers and the Ravens. On the Chiefs side of things, obviously they currently sit behind the Chargers and behind the Broncos, but again, they can still be in the wild card hunt, where the Ravens almost with this early loss, this 1-4, and they're over a touchdown dog this week to the Rams, where they're likely to go 1-5. They're going to eliminate themselves from any chance of a wild card and only be able to make the playoffs by winning the division, which I don't think is the case for the Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers. Somebody's going to win that division, and we may see all three of those teams find a way in the playoffs through the wild card system.
Yeah, so really, really tough right now for the Ravens. They definitely need Lamar Jackson back. Another question that was posed is, which quarterback addition has been more impactful this year? Sam Darnold for the Seahawks or Daniel Jones for the Colts? For me, it's Daniel Jones. I think you look at Sam Darnold, he had a really good year last year with the Vikings. He came in with that offense and did really well. He wasn't great at the end of the season or in the postseason, but he was good, and he's been really good this year. But Daniel Jones really came out of left field. I mean, the Giants were done with him. He ended up going to the Vikings last year where he backed up. He gets the job in Indy. We didn't even know if he'd win that job. It was between him and Anthony Richardson. But he's gone from Danny Dimes to Indiana Jones right now, and it is the temple of doom for defenses when they have to go against that offense with that offensive line and Jonathan Taylor and Pittman and Pierce and Downs, and you add the tight end in there now and Tyler Warren. He's just been phenomenal right now. For me, it's Daniel Jones with the impact that he has made for the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, Darnold, a journeyman from 2018 to 2023, suffered through seasons with the Jets and the Panthers, had a backup role with the Niners, then that great season with Minnesota. 4,300 yards, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. The Vikings go 13-3.
Really good.
But then they draft J.J. McCarthy, and he was maybe going to be in that role. Darnold goes and has an incredible season. They lose 4 games.
Well, McCarthy got hurt.
Two games to the Lions, 2 games to the Rams. They lose the playoff game to the Rams, and then they ship him off to Seattle, where pair him up with Smith and Najigma, and it is supposed to be a passing or a running offense with Walker and Charbonnet, and Smith Najigma I think is only behind Puka Nacua from a receiving yard standpoint. So Darnold, I mean, he flashed that talent in Minnesota last year, so I'm not as surprised to see what he's doing in Seattle. Daniel Jones, best year in New York, he threw for 3,200 yards, and I think he had 15 touchdowns in that season. He's throwing for 258 yards a game right now, on pace for almost a 4,400-yard season with this Colts team. Right. Again, they haven't had the tough competition in front of them. They probably should have won the game in LA against the Rams if it wasn't for Mitchell fumbling out of the end zone and trying to play defense with 10 guys. But you have to be impressed with what Daniel Jones has been able to do. And it really comes down to not turning the football over. His Achilles heel in New York was that he fumbled a lot and threw a lot of interceptions. But again, the scheme and the talent of the guys that he was playing with forced him to do those things. And now he's got a bunch of talented guys around him. Jonathan Taylor looks reborn in that running back behind this offensive line. And now you add Tyler Warren, the tight end looks great, and then a sprinkle in all these receivers. Indianapolis, they've got something going there, and they look really good. And it's going to continue to fall on the shoulders of Daniel Jones to manage this team and not turn the football over. If he continues to do this, the Colts are going to be a good team, and we're going to see them playing in January.
I think, for them it really helps that you have a really good offensive line. You have Jonathan Taylor. It takes a lot of pressure off a quarterback, and you've got some young receivers that helps too. So it's really been a good fit for Daniel Jones here so far. Next question that came up, which 4-1 team has been the biggest surprise so far? For me, it's the Bucs, and I know that they've won the division 4 straight years, but you look at the injuries that they had. They started the year without Chris Godwin, then you had Mike Evans get hurt, then you had Wirtz get hurt on the offensive line, Bucky Irvin get hurt. Ibuka has been phenomenal. I know that you've talked about him since before the season, that this kid was going to have a great year and be the guy to be their receiver like Mike Evans for the next decade. But for me, it's the Tampa Bay Bucs at 4-1. I think they're a really good team. Baker Mayfield has that moxie, that swagger. The team loves to play for him. He's never sliding. He's taking on a defender head on. I think the team has kind of embodied that and embraced that. And for me, it's the Tampa Bay Bucs who are 4-1 right now and look like one of the top 3 or 4 best teams in the league.
Yeah, and so Eagles 4-1, Bills 4-1, Colts 4-1,
Niners 4-1.
The big one for me is this Jacksonville Jaguars team, because I don't think anybody in looking at the schedule at the beginning of the season was expecting Jacksonville to be 4-1.
Everyone's looking it up right now to say, are they really 4-1?
As they sit today,
they don't see that.
They should be 5-0 to be perfectly honest, because they blew the game, the second game of the season at Cincinnati, a game that they were leading in, and they allowed the Bengals to come back and win that game. But they went on the road, albeit against an injured Niners team, and they beat the Niners on the road, and then they had the big home win over the Chiefs. So, and I don't think anybody put them there. And so to have the Colts and Jaguars, all due respect to the Bucs, the Colts and the Jaguars are the really surprise teams to be sitting here at 4-1. I think we all expected the Eagles and Bills to be in this situation. But for me, really excited about what's going on in Jacksonville. Liam Cohen comes over from the offensive coordinator with those Bucs to now take this head coaching job. And I still don't know that they're...
But it hasn't been offensive.
Yeah, they're still trying to figure things out.
Coaches is that you look at Brian Thomas, he hasn't been great. Travis Hunter hasn't been great. You've got the running back injury there. I mean, it's just been a little bit different than what I think.
That's what makes it even more surprising. Trevor Lawrence hasn't been awesome. Brian Thomas hasn't been all-world receiver. They got a two-headed running back with
Etienne's playing
Etienne
way better.
And Tootin. And so if they can start to gel, if they can start to figure out this Liam Cohen offense with this defense that they're able to play, I think the Jaguars are only going to get better and better as each week goes on.
So the next question is, are we concerned at all about the Eagles? I'm going to say, heck yeah. They just look like they're out of sorts offensively. I know that they're 4-1, and you've still got all-world quarterback in Jalen Hurts, and you've got Brown and Smith on the outside, and Barkley. He only touched the ball 11 times, Barkley, in the second half of that game last week. They led at home by 10 points against the Denver Broncos, and a young quarterback in Bo Nix, who's really had some struggles early on this year, and they just got outplayed in the fourth quarter of that game. Offensively, they couldn't do anything. I'm not overly concerned. I still think they win the division, they make the playoffs, and they've got a chance to be hoisted in Lombardi again. But something just seems off for me on that passing attack in the offense with A.J. Brown, Smith, Goddard, and Jalen Hurts.
Do you ever get the feeling that they're just trying to work on things in games and we're going to try and run the football and see what we can do today, and then we're going to pass the football and see what we can do today? And they were 2-2 last year and obviously ended up winning and dominating the Super Bowl. And my gut tells me that they go into these weeks trying to see what they can do to improve passing game or the running game, and they haven't. And because it hasn't been a single full four-quarter game for them, they took a half off against Tampa Bay and allowed them to come back. They haven't put things together, and I just get this weird feeling that they're just playing out the regular season and working on things.
It's tough to give up games though in the NFL.
Yeah, but you have Saquon Barkley had 6 rushing attempts last week against Tampa. He's averaging 53 yards a game. Is this, let's not bury Saquon Barkley early in the season so that he has fresh legs when they get to the playoffs?
They went out and made a trade though for a running back that they haven't used.
That's what I'm starting to believe, is that they're just mixing and matching. They know they're going to win the division, and when it's time to turn things on, they'll turn things on and they'll unleash Saquon and they'll unleash Hurts, and we all know what they can do with those receivers. And I feel like they're trying to play things out rather than just go dominate football games on a week-to-week basis.
They're really good, but yeah, it just seems like something's a little bit off. But it's a division that they're going to win. The Commanders are still good too.
We're really nitpicking to say they're not playing well when they're a 4-1 team leading their division.
I guess the expectation is though that the offense would be a little bit crisper, a little bit smoother, and execute a little bit better. But you're right, it's a long season. They were 2-2 last year. They went on that roll, and they easily could do it this year. Let's break down some of the games this week now. Game between two teams that are 4-1. Kind of the surprising Niners. I know they have a very easy schedule, but all the injuries they've had, able to win on the road. They easily could be 5-0. They're playing in this game against the Bucs. Bucs are a 3-point favorite. What do you think about that game?
I mean, again, it's a great game. The big
no
question,
Purdy probably.
Yeah,
again.
the big question is going to be Mac Jones.
I think so.
What can we see? Yeah. Who's going to catch the football for the San Francisco 49ers? We saw Kendrick Bourne, leapfrog to the top. A big waiver wire for all the fantasy guys going after him. McCaffrey again, we said when this guy's healthy, he's the best player on the field in any game he plays in, and he's kind of back to that status, catching balls out of the backfield. But their defense has really stepped up. So again, the Niners, this is who they are. They stay close in a lot of games. Really, I was disappointed in the way the Rams kind of attacked them. Didn't use Davante Adams and Nakua as much, trying to get that Kyron Williams, Blake Corum game going and kind of let the Niners hang around. But again, this is a top matchup in the NFC when you talk about the Bucs coming. And I at nauseum talked about Emeka Egbuka, so I won't continue to do it again. But the big thing for the Bucs is Rashard White, Bucky Irving. Are they healthy in that backfield?
I don't think Bucky Irving is going to play this week, but Rashard White had 2 touchdowns last week, so he came right in. He's been the starter there before. He's a really good back. They probably are at least a week away from Bucky Irving. Yeah.
So again, you have 2 teams that don't have all the tools in the shed from their special offensive guys. So you see who they're going to lean on and who's going to have that big game that you don't expect to have that big game.
So a couple of interesting betting trends for this one too. As good as the Niners have been this year, they're only 4-10 going back to last year against the number in their last 14 games. They have gone over 6 of their last 8 games. They're 4-1 straight up this year, of course, but they're just 2-4 in their history. The last 6 times they've played Tampa against the number. So we'll see what happens here. Tampa's gone over though 4 of their last 5 games at home. Next game we're going to look at now, we're going to jump at the primetime games. I think these are really the marquee games. This Sunday night game could be a Super Bowl preview. It's the Lions, who I think right now are the best team in the NFL. They're just getting that swagger back offensively. It's the trickeration, the 2-headed monster at running back. Williams hasn't even been great yet at wide receiver. It's been a lot of St. Brown. Defensively, they've had injuries, yet they keep stepping up. Everyone was talking about the Bills and the Eagles and the Ravens coming into the season. Lions lose their 2 coordinators. They're not going to be as good. They look great to me. They're catching points right now in Kansas City on Sunday night. A rematch of not this past season, but the year before, Thursday Night Football. Chiefs come off that Super Bowl win. Who do they host? The Detroit Lions. Who went in there and won the game outright? The Detroit Lions. They're catching 2 points here. I think it's a phenomenal game on Sunday Night Football. And I think we will need the Kansas City Chiefs. I think you guys will back the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, and I 2 weeks ago, before the Chiefs played the Ravens, I was hitting the panic button on the Chiefs, and then obviously they beat up the Ravens and then went and lost to the Jags this week. And I'm still in panic mode on the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't feel like things are right. My power rating on the Chiefs is clearly wrong.
They are a team that's going to get Rice back soon.
Right, but that's not who they are today. They're a 2.5-point favorite over this Lions team. I have the Lions a 1-point favorite in the game, so I'm somewhat off. I'm 3 points off in my power rating on the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, and he's able to do what he does. But when you're dependent on Smith-Schuster and Hollywood Brown and a banged-up Worthy and what seems to be an older Travis Kelce and Hunt and Pacheco in the back, he just doesn't have the guys around him that he needs.
Right.
And that offense, he's doing it with his legs. He's pulling out these magic tricks to keep them in games. But I just don't know that it's a very good football team right now. And when we talk about very good football teams, the Detroit Lions offense is really scary good. I mean, Jamison Williams, I think
he has
invisible. 1 catch and 2 catches the last couple games. And we get Amon St. Brown can do whatever he wants. Gibbs and Montgomery, they do whatever they want.
He's always open.
Laporta, this Tesla kid coming out of nowhere. Now, maybe the fact that
Tesla's been really electric.
Maybe the fact that Goff has to go on the road and play in the grass has something to do with it. Or it's the fact that the Chiefs would be going to a 3rd loss here, and it's just desperation mode for the Chiefs that they can't lose here. But from the eye test for me, the Lions look like the better team. They feel like the better team. I'm surprised they're a dog in this situation.
And who knows? It's still early in the week. Maybe that could change. I mean, we're looking at a Chief team that was a dog at home twice already this year. They're 1-1 of those games against the Ravens and Eagles. They could possibly be a dog at home for the 3rd time, which hasn't happened in Mahomes' tenure there. Maybe not 3 times ever combined, let alone 3 times in 6 weeks. So really kind of unusual territory there. Let's look at some betting trends for this game. Lions 4-1 against the number this year so far. They've gone over 8 of their last 11 games. They're 17-3 straight up in their last 20 games. However, just 3-6 against the number their last 9 games against the Chiefs. Chiefs, though, just 6-13 dating back to last year, their last 19 games against the number. They've gone over 8 of the last 9 times they've played Detroit. So these two offenses look for a lot of points scored. Curious to see, to Jay's point, what this game actually closes at. We're 2 right now. Do we start to get back closer to picks, or do you see some money backing from you guys on the Chiefs?
Yeah, and the Lions have been, again, they're 4-1 against the spread, so they've been the team that's been cashing tickets for the betting public, and that goes back to even to last year when they had a great against the spread record. The Lions are definitely a public favorite, and they cash a lot of tickets for you.
So not only do we have an early game on Sunday morning from London, the Broncos and Jets early, and we've always talked about you guys come on out, have some fun. The kiosks are open, STN Mobile is open, over-the-counter is open at our books, but we've got a Monday night doubleheader as well. So a lot of fun going on Monday night. First game, the Bills come off their first loss of the season, play the Atlanta Falcons, who come off a bye, who's home. The Bills are a very small favorite in this one, around 4.5 points.
Yeah, and it's leaked up. This game opened 3.5. It's gone up as high as now Bills 4.5, coming off the loss. Again, the Atlanta Falcons, we haven't seen Michael Penix be that guy yet, having to throw the football
Had
around.
some flashes against the Vikings. I thought he looked really well, but since then, he's been up and down.
Robinson and Allgeier, their 2 running backs, have been absolutely fantastic. They're going to need to be on Monday night. A running team, controlling that clock, keeping the ball out of Josh Allen's hands. But again, home dog, Monday night with the Falcons coming off a bye week, so they've had 2 weeks to prepare for Josh Allen and the Bills coming in. Seems like a very good spot for the Falcons.
Well, you talked about the Eagles, and maybe they're just trying to work some things out and get ready for the postseason, which is still a ways away. But you think about the Bills, they didn't look great against the Dolphins and didn't cover 3 weeks ago. And then last week, 2 weeks ago, they didn't look great against the Saints. They got the win, but they didn't cover. Then they lose that game to the Patriots at home on prime time. So both the 2 teams that you think are going to be really, really good, the Bills and the Eagles, both right now, they both suffered their first loss the same week of the season, but there's been some stubbing of the toe a little bit over the last few weeks for those 2 teams.
Well, and James Cook, the running back for the Bills, great season last year, started off really hot this year, but they need to figure something out with those wide receivers, whether it's Coleman, Shakur, Palmer, Kincaid.
Kincaid's really been good, though, in the tight end role.
They've got to get something going there, give him some mid-range options, some down-the-field options, give Josh Allen somebody to throw the football to. But you talked about they failed to cover against as a 12.5, 13-point favorite against the Dolphins, a 17-point favorite against the Saints, and an 8-point favorite against the Patriots.
Right.
So they were 0-3 against the spread there, and obviously 2-1 straight up.
Outright,
to
yeah.
lose as an 8-point favorite, shocking there. But again, I still think this is a sneaky tough trip. Going to Atlanta, especially with them coming off the bye week.
So I'll give you a couple of betting trends here too. Buffalo, just as we alluded to, just 2-4 against the number their last 6 games. They've gone over 5 of their last 7 games. They're 16-4 straight up their last 20 games. Yet Atlanta is just 3-8-1 against the number of their last 12 games. So something will have to give there. And we have a rematch of the Hail Mary game from last year that really kind of changed the complexion of both those 2 teams. The Chicago Bears travel to Washington to play the Commanders on Monday Night Football. Bears are catching about 4.5 points here as well. Bears come off their bye week. Commanders come off that big win, traveling to LA to beat the Chargers last week.
Yeah, and again, Commanders were able to go on the road and kind of win shorthanded. Jalen Daniels, I think, is still not playing at 100%. We saw Jacoby Crosby Merritt, Bill have the big game for them. Scary Terry McLaurin still out. Check his status. If you're looking to back the Commanders, he may or may not be back here. But always dangerous to watch Daniels run that football. This was a game you talked about. They had the Hail Mary to beat the Bears with the defense cheering and waving to the fans in the end zone. That catapulted the Commanders' season. The Bears obviously looking to go in there and steal a game. The thing that scares me a little bit about the Bears here is that they're coming off the win here in Las Vegas against the Raiders, a game that they blocked a field goal to end the game, to win the game. Saw Caleb Williams have some success in that game, and the Bears got that feel-good win on the road here against the Raiders, and then they go into their bye week. And then we watch that same Raider team go get absolutely destroyed by the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, just played an uncompetitive game and have not looked good. So it begs me to ask, are the Bears on the same playing field as the Raiders, that they're close with the Raiders team that just looked so bad? And could they go on the road and just get blown out by what is expected to be a playoff team here in the Commanders? Or are the Bears better than we think they are because they were able to go on the road and now they're bye week? So the numbers felt short to me. I thought the Commanders should have been closer to a touchdown favorite, not this 4.5, which seems to be showing a lot of respect for the Bears. But I don't know that win here in Las Vegas should be vaulting the Bears to any status from picking up that win.
They're a team that, though, could be 3-1. They could have won that opening game against the Vikings, but health's an issue, too. The Bears look like they're going to get Grady Jarrett back, Kyler Gordon back, Colson Loveland back, TJ Edwards back. So a lot of guys that were missing the last 2 or 3 weeks of the Bears look like they're going to come back right now. But totally understand that point. The Commanders are one of these teams right now. If there's a threat to the Eagles, it's the Commanders. They're a playoff team. Not sure if they're going to have McLaren or not. That's a big miss if they don't have him on offense. If not, Deebo Samuel will be their number one option offensively. Still have Zach Ertz, and of course a good running game with Bill. But we'll see how that works out. Here's a couple of interesting betting trends for this one too. Chicago 4-2 against the number their last 6 games. They've gone over 4 of their last 5 games. Washington at home, which they are on Monday night, 5-0 against the number their last 5 games. They've also gone over 4 of the last 5 times they played the Bears. So it's not just about football though. This is a really, really busy, kind of fun weekend from our side of the counter. You have baseball playoffs, you have the WNBA finals, puck drop with the Golden Knights going on. So a lot of fun stuff right now in our world, which I know you guys will check out on the app across the board.
Yeah, and the Golden Knights, again, super excited to start hockey season. Obviously, sitting here in the Las Vegas Valley becomes one of our hockey season things to do. Walk into all of our books, you're going to see those Golden Knights games featured on our big screens. A lot of matches of the day, giving you those bonuses on the Vegas Golden Knights. But for me, it starts to get scary again because when the Golden Knights are good, that's never a good sign for Las Vegas sports books. In particular, us. We talked about UNLV, a lot of tickets getting cashed on UNLV. When the Knights are playing well and they're winning games, right. Those tickets we start doing a lot of payouts on these Knights.
Knights puck line and over.
And the acquisition of Mitch Marner, pairing him up with Eichel, Barbashev on that line, it seems like that could be one of the scariest lines in hockey.
Offensively, really good.
Really, really good. We do lose Alex Pietrangelo, who was the staple on defense. I don't think everybody realizes what a big loss that is. We're going to see if White Cloud is going to step into that top 4 on the defensive side of things. They still have a good McNabb, right. Theodore, Hannafin. They still have a good core there, but we're going to have to see who that third line of defense is. And then if we can see Aiden Hill kind of stand on his head and steal some games here and there. But the Knights look to be a very, very good team. They look like they're a top 5 team in the NHL, which doesn't bode well for Las Vegas sportsbooks. Maybe some games where they just win the games by 1 and they stay under, but puck line covers and games that go over, and they do look like they're a team that's going to be able to score. I think that Eichel, Marner, Barbashev line could be one of the top lines in the NHL, one of the top power play units. Very, very scary tandem and an incredible acquisition to bring Mitch Marner to the VGK.
We know the calling cry is, go Knights, go. From our side of it, unfortunately, it's no Knights, no. Win the game, but don't cover the puck line and keep the game under. Usually helps us a lot.
And you also called out the WNBA. The Aces have just awesome with the 2 home wins. See Dana Evans go 5 for 6 in that game 1 with the 3-pointer, scored 21 points, 89-86 win, kind of stole the game. The Mercury actually looked like the better team on the floor with Jackie Young kind of struggling.
Both games sailing over too. You guys have done really good with the total in those games.
And then game 2, Jackie Young comes back with 32 points. Asia Wilson's been absolutely fantastic in both games, 20-plus points. I think 14 rebounds, 10 rebounds. They now head on the road to the Phoenix Mercury, see what they can do down there. But again, Aces have been another fan favorite and a lot of tickets getting cashed on the Aces, and if they're able to bring home that WNBA championship, a lot of betting for them to win in the future book on the Aces. Another Las Vegas team that'll cash some tickets for their bettors.
Not surprising, though, as we've talked about so many times, if it's the Raiders, the Knights, the Aces, UNLV football, UNLV basketball, teams that are relevant out here, you guys really do back and have done well with those. So you kind of broke down everything. So the baseball playoffs going on right now. The Dodgers appear to be the Dodgers again. Brewers have looked really good. American League, man, you look at the Blue Jays, Mariners looking really good as well.
Well, again, at the beginning of the year, we thought the Dodgers were going to be 105, 108 win team, potentially the best team ever in baseball with that pitching staff. The pitching staff came under a ton of injuries, and now we go into these playoffs, and you got Ohtani now throwing the 6 innings to go along with Snell, Yamamoto.
It'll be a Glass now coming out of the bullpen and Sasaki closing.
You know, their committee there in that bullpen looked like one of the strengths of the team, and hasn't been, and Treinen and those guys have struggled, and now they throw Sasaki and Glass now in the bullpen. They're 4-0. They still haven't lost a game in the playoffs. Brewers are 2-0. Obviously didn't play in the wild card round, but the Dodgers look like the Dodgers and the scary Dodgers that we thought they were going to be. From a sportsbook standpoint, you know, I don't know if Milwaukee, Seattle, Toronto gets the World Series to be a big viewership of the World Series, so you know that Yankee-Dodgers threat is still there, but the Dodgers looks absolutely fantastic. From a sportsbook standpoint,
that Cub-Yankee threat is still there.
We're cheering for the Blue Jays. A lot of money continues to flow in on the Yankees. Blue Jays great from a future book standpoint, so I can live with the coast to coast, country versus country, Dodgers versus Blue Jays in the final. But again, the Dodgers won't be good for us. We're hoping the Phillies can somehow fight their way back in this series. And we're also cheering for the Cubs to fight their way back in this series, because we don't want to be missing baseball. All these sweeps are no good in the division series. We don't want to have game days where there's no games on the board. So as we go into tonight, we're hoping the Cubs and Phillies can kind of extend these series out.
Don't forget, with all the stuff that we talked about, with hockey starting not that far away from the NBA, college basketball, get signed up for SDN Sports. We still have that $50 no-worry wager going on. And as we talked about earlier, this weekend with the games in London again, we'll be open up early, kiosks, mobile, over-the-counter, to have some fun at all of our racing sports books.
10% bonus on the match of the day, $1.99 margaritas, $3 beers, $3 shots. Station Casinos is the place to be.
Come out early, and we'll see you guys this weekend. So for Jason, I'm Chucky. For the Sports Betting Podcast Bookends, again, as always, powered by SDN Sports. Good luck, and we'll see you guys next week.